Hey, what's going on, everyone? Hope you're all doing good. So, today we're talking about something a lot of you have been asking about ever since it dropped, the brand new EA Sports FC 26 update V1.1.0. And man, there's actually a decent amount to unpack here. EA didn't just fix a couple of bugs and call it a day. They've made some gameplay adjustments that are really changing the feel of the games, especially for those of us who play competitively or spend serious time in Ultimate Team or clubs. I've been testing this update across a bunch of modes, and I'll be honest, it actually feels more balanced in certain areas while slightly throwing off others, depending on how you play. Let's start with the most noticeable thing right off the bat: defending. If you've been frustrated with how your defenders were reacting before this patch, especially when jockeying or trying to manually contain attackers, you're definitely going to feel the difference now. The manual defending mechanics got a pretty big boost. Jockeying feels sharper and more responsive, which finally rewards players who time their defensive movements well instead of just relying on auto-defending or AI pressure. You can actually step in with confidence now, cut off passing lanes, and stop those pacey wingers from just burning past you every other possession. It's like your defenders finally went to defending school overnight. Now, for those of you who play a lot of FUT champs or rivals, this change is a big deal. In previous patches, even if your defending timing was perfect, attackers could still slip past with broken acceleration or unpredictable dribbles. But with this update, it's way more about player skill. If you position right and time your tackle, you'll usually come out on top. Of course, the flip side is that if you mess up your positioning or overcommit, you'll still get punished. So EA didn't make defending easy, they just made it fairer. And that's the key word here: fair. Another big tweak that's catching people's attention is how EA handled kickoff situations. If you've been playing online, you already know how annoying those kickoff goals were. You'd score, and before you could even finish celebrating, your opponent would rush straight through the middle and score right back. It's been one of the longest running frustrations in FIFA and now FC. But in this update, EA finally addressed it in a meaningful way. The AI marking during kickoffs is tighter, smarter, and more aggressive. You can actually feel your midfielders and defenders holding their line better instead of just letting someone sprint through untouched. So now, kickoff goals are far less common. It doesn't mean they're impossible. Good players can still break through with precise passing, but that old run straight up the pitch and score nonsense is way less effective. Let's talk about passing, because this is another area that EA really tuned up in this patch. Through balls have been tweaked to feel more realistic and skill-based. Before this update, you could kind of spam through passes and let the assist mechanics do a lot of the work for you. Um, Now, the system pays more attention to your left stick direction, your player's body orientation, and even the situation on the pitch. So, if you're trying to thread a ball through a crowded defense, it actually takes finesse. The good news is, if you line it up well and execute properly, it feels so satisfying because it genuinely looks like a professional pass. You can see the difference in how the ball travels, especially when you're using top-tier playmakers like De Bruyne, Modric, or Odegaard. They still have that extra bit of precision, but now it's earned through control, not automation. Now, dribbling. This one's going to stir a bit of debate. EA decided to tone down controlled sprint dribbling. You know that moment when someone just flicks the ball forward with controlled sprint and outruns your entire backline? Yeah, that's a little less ridiculous now. Sprint dribble speed has been slightly reduced to make the game feel more balanced. It still feels smooth, don't get me wrong, but you can't just hold sprint and expect to breeze past defenders anymore. This means more focus on small touches, L1 or LB dribbling, and quick directional changes rather than just pure acceleration abuse. It gives defenders more of a fighting chance, and it encourages a more tactical attacking style instead of all-out pace abuse. If you're someone who plays with flair, uses ball rolls, stepovers, and quick cutbacks, this update actually works in your favor because those skills now feel more effective compared to mindless sprinting. Goalkeeping also got a little bit of love. You'll notice it most during corner kicks and certain cross situations. Keepers are reading the ball better, they're punching it out more confidently, and they're not just standing flat-footed waiting for headers to go in. There are still moments of weird animations here and there. It's EA after all. But overall, goalkeepers are more reliable, especially in crowded penalty box moments. Now let's move over to Ultimate Team, because there are actually a couple of quality of life changes worth talking about. First up, the new objective tracking feature. This one's going to make your grind so much smoother. You can now favorite objectives and groups, and the game will track your progress live during matches. So if you're trying to finish an evolution challenge or complete a rivals bounty, you'll actually see the progress update in real time. It's such a small change, but it makes a huge difference, especially if you're like me and constantly forget which objective you're working on halfway through a game. It keeps you focused, and you can knock out multiple objectives efficiently without jumping back and forth in menus. Speaking of evolutions, EA added a really helpful preview feature. You can now see exactly what the evolution requires before you even decide to start it. No more wasting coins or players just to realize later that your chosen card isn't eligible. You can preview everything, requirements, rewards, and upgrades, before locking it in. This is honestly a feature that should have been there from the beginning, but hey, at least it's here now. It's all about saving time and helping players make smarter decisions when upgrading their squads. There's also been a lot of community talk about updated player faces, and while EA didn't list it officially in the patch notes, players have been noticing new scans and graphical touch-ups on over 200 faces, especially in major leagues. You can tell when you see players like Bellingham, Saka, or Haaland, the likenesses look sharper, and the lighting on faces in general feels a little more realistic. These subtle upgrades make the presentation side of the game look cleaner without needing a major graphical overhaul. Now, let's talk about how all these changes actually affect gameplay rhythm overall. The first thing I noticed after spending a few hours in Division Rivals was that matches feel more tactical now. Because through passes are less automated and dribbling is slower, players are forced to think a bit more about their build-up. You can't just spam sprint and expect results anymore. Passing lanes matter more, player runs need timing, and holding possession feels more meaningful. Defensively, the buff to jockeying means that good defenders finally feel rewarded. You can keep a shape, intercept with intention, and force mistakes instead of relying on AI tackles. And this new balance really highlights skill gaps. Players who rely purely on mechanics or pace will probably struggle a bit at first, while those who are good at reading the game, timing tackles, and building structured attacks are going to thrive. It's the kind of update that might frustrate some people early on, but in the long term, it's a step in the right direction for fair competitive play. Of course, not everything is perfect. There are still some issues floating around. Small animation bugs, players clipping through the ball during tackles, and certain refereeing inconsistencies that somehow always seem to go against you. But performance-wise, it's stable. I didn't notice major lag spikes or desyncs after the patch, and the menus in Ultimate Team feel a little smoother, though that might just be placebo. So, how does this all translate for different player types? If you're a career mode player, you'll probably notice the AI teams playing a bit more compact defensively. They press smarter, not harder, and they'll actually track back faster if you're counterattacking. You'll need to adjust your tactics, maybe focus on width or quicker transitions instead of long possession spells. If you're into clubs, your timing on manual defending and through passes will matter way more now, so coordination with your teammates is key. And for Ultimate Team grinders, this update basically rewards adaptability. The market and meta might shift a bit because players who rely on raw pace might lose some value while technically gifted midfielders and defenders become more useful. Someone like Rodri or Rice, for example, feels much stronger now because they can control the midfield tempo without getting outrun as easily. At the end of the day, this update feels like EA trying to bring balance back into the equation. The game before this patch had moments that felt chaotic. Too many kickoff goals, dribbling overpowered, defenders lagging behind, even when positioned perfectly. With this version, the gameplay feels more grounded. Matches are a little slower paced, but they're also more thoughtful. Every movement matters more. Every decision has weight. If you've been on the fence about jumping back into FC26, I'd say this update makes it a good time to return. It's still the same game at its core, but the gameplay flow has matured. You can feel EA responding to player feedback, especially around defending and kickoff logic, and that's a good sign for where the series is heading. It's like they're fine-tuning the balance between realism and fun, and even though there's still room for improvement, this patch gets the fundamentals right. So yeah, that's my take on the EA Sports FC 26 Update V1.1.0. Whether you're grinding FUT, running a career mode save, or linking up with your crew and clubs, you'll definitely feel these adjustments the moment you play a few matches. The defending is sharper, the passing's smarter, the dribbling's more balanced, and overall, it just feels like the game wants you to think more, not just react. Anyway, that's everything for today. If you've tried the update already, drop a comment and let me know what you think. Are you liking the new defending system? Or does it still feel a little weird? I'm genuinely curious how it feels across different divisions and skill levels. As always, if you enjoyed the breakdown, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching, take it easy, and I'll catch you soon.